Hello, everyone. Welcome back for another video. I hope everyone's having a great day. Before watching the video, please subscribe and like it. Todd Chrisley speaks after being released on bail with wife and lawyer by his side. Todd Chrisley stepped into the sunlight outside the courthouse with the weight of the world visible in his eyes, but a defiant resolve in his voice. Clutching the hands of his wife, Julie Chrisley, and flanked by his lawyer, the former reality TV star broke his silence for the first time since his highly publicized release on bail. In a scene that blurred the lines between scandal and celebrity, Todd addressed a crowd of reporters and fans who had gathered in anticipation of the moment. His appearance marked a dramatic turn in a legal saga that has captivated the nation for years. Once celebrated as the sharp-tongued patriarch of the hit reality series Chrisley Knows Best, Todd now finds himself at the center of a complex legal battle that has tested not only his public image, but the very foundation of the Chrisley brand. And while cameras once followed the family's every move with adoration, they now focus with intensity, documenting a downfall as gripping as the rise that preceded it. With his wife by his side, her expression a mixture of resilience and heartbreak, Todd took a deep breath before addressing the press. "This is not the end of our story," he said, his southern drawl unmistakable. "We are going to fight. We are going to prove the truth. And we are going to get our lives back." The words were simple but delivered with conviction. Julie Chrisley nodded silently beside him, offering her husband a supportive glance as their legal counsel, visibly alert and protective, signaled that questions would be taken selectively. For the Chrisleys, whose public lives have long been curated for television audiences, this was not a scripted moment. This was real. And it was raw. Legal analysts have weighed in heavily on the implications of Todd's release on bail, noting that while it marks a temporary reprieve, the road ahead remains uncertain and fraught with challenges. The charges they face, ranging from conspiracy to bank fraud and tax evasion, carry severe penalties. While both Todd and Julie have steadfastly denied any wrongdoing, the evidence presented thus far has been enough to keep the case moving forward in federal court. Still, public opinion remains deeply divided. On one side are those who see the Chrisleys as victims of a broken system, unfairly targeted and mercilessly dragged through the mud of legal warfare. On the other are critics who accuse them of living lavishly on the backs of deception and manipulation. For now, though, Todd seems focused less on public perception and more on personal survival. "I believe in justice," he said, his voice catching slightly, "and I believe that the truth is going to come out." As the crowd leaned in, cell phones raised high to capture every word, Todd gestured toward Julie and their lawyer. "I couldn't be standing here right now without them," he said. "Julie is the strongest woman I know. And our legal team has worked tirelessly to protect us, to guide us, and to remind us that we are not alone." The Chrisley story has never lacked drama, from feuds and financial battles to emotional family rifts. But this chapter may be their most defining. As they walked away from the courthouse, their hands still linked tightly, the message was clear: the fight is far from over. But for the first time in a long time, Todd Chrisley is ready to speak for himself. Todd Chrisley did have a message for his fans. Todd Chrisley stood before a sea of flashing cameras and whispered voices with the solemn presence of a man who had carried the weight of 1,000 headlines on his shoulders for far too long in the wake of ongoing legal challenges, media scrutiny, and deeply personal struggles. The former reality television star finally broke his silence with one thing on his mind: the people who have stood by him, the fans who refused to look away, the supporters who never stopped believing. After months out of the public eye and limited to carefully worded statements through legal representatives, Todd emerged outside the courthouse with an unexpected sense of calm and clarity. While his future remains uncertain and the battle ahead looms large, it was not the accusations nor the controversy he wanted to address, but rather the unwavering loyalty of those who have remained simple but sharp and simple. Todd appeared composed, if not slightly worn by the emotional strain of the events surrounding him. Flanked closely by his wife Julie Chrisley and his lead attorney, he stepped up to the row of microphones with the demeanor of a man who understood the gravity of the moment and who knew exactly what he wanted to say. To everyone who has sent a prayer, to everyone who has believed in us, and to everyone who has refused to let gossip become gospel, I just want to say thank you. These were the words that began a statement far more heartfelt than rehearsed. As his voice quivered ever so slightly, and his eyes scanned the crowd for familiar faces, Todd was not speaking as a reality star or as a defendant, but as a husband, a father, and a man who knows what it means to feel the world shift beneath his feet. Todd continued by acknowledging the support that has poured in since the news of his legal troubles broke. He spoke of letters from strangers, words of encouragement from longtime viewers, and touching moments of solidarity shared by fans who felt like they were part of the Chrisley family. You all welcomed us into your homes, you laughed with us, you cried with us, and now you're fighting with us, he said, and that means more to me than I'll ever be able to express. For years, Todd Chrisley was known as the sharp-witted, outspoken, and often polarizing figure at the center of one of reality TV's most talked-about families. His show, built on both humor and heart, gave audiences a window into the high-stakes world of real estate success, Southern traditions, and unapologetic family dynamics. But as the cameras stopped rolling and court documents replaced scripts, Todd's life took a dramatic turn that played out not in controlled takes, but in real time for the world to see. Still, despite the dramatic nature of his circumstances, Todd's message to his fans was one of grace, hope, and gratitude. He did not spend time condemning the system or rehashing the details of the case. Instead, he focused on what he says has helped him survive the darkest moments: his faith, his family, and the people who never gave up on him. He described nights where sleep never came and mornings that began with uncertainty, but also mornings where the first thing he would read would be a message from a fan reminding him to keep going. I didn't know how much I needed those words until they became the reason I kept getting up, he said through a faint smile and eyes that betrayed the exhaustion he tried to hide. Julie Chrisley remained at his side through the statement, occasionally nodding her head in agreement and squeezing Todd's hand. When his voice wavered, it was clear that her presence was not merely symbolic, but essential, a quiet display of unity in the face of relentless public dissection. Their relationship, often a focal point of their show, now stood as a symbol of enduring support and quiet strength. Though Todd's legal team remained tight-lipped about the next steps in his case, choosing not to engage in speculation or media-driven narratives, the man himself hinted that his story was far from over, and while the path forward may be uncertain, one thing was clear: his connection to his fans remains one of the most grounding and motivating aspects of his life. This journey has taught me a lot, Todd admitted. I've learned who I am outside of the cameras and the edits. I've learned who stands with you when the lights go out, and I've learned that real support comes not from applause, but from silence, from stillness, from people you'll never meet who say, I'm here anyway. As the statement came to a close, Todd offered one final message to those who have supported him from the start. I know this isn't what any of us imagined, and I know it's hard to watch people you care about go through hard things, but I promise you this: we are still standing, and as long as I have breath in my body, I will keep standing with my head held high. With that, Todd turned from the microphones and slowly walked away, hand in hand with Julie, and guided by his attorney. The crowd parted, the cameras followed, but the moment itself felt less like a press conference and more like a quiet exchange between a man and the many strangers who chose to see something more than headlines in him. While the legal storm surrounding Todd Chrisley continues to develop and his future remains entangled in the complex web of proceedings, appeals, and opinions, one thing stands out amidst the uncertainty: his voice, his gratitude, and his bond with the people who have stood by him are still intact, and for now, that is the message he wanted to leave behind. Thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, America Trends 24, and stay with us.